guys, welcome to another chemical engineering tutorial brought to you by the ChemEng student. In this lesson we're going to take a look at the complete guide to non-Newtonian fluids. So we're going to discuss everything that you need to know regarding the behaviour and the modelling of non-Newtonian fluids. This is the first video in our February competition whereby you can win £1,000 a month every month for a year, so be sure to check out the question at the end of this video. So the first question that we have to ask ourselves are, what are non-Newtonian fluids? So in a nutshell, a non-Newtonian fluid is one whose flow curve, i.e. the shear stress against the shear rate, is non-linear, or it doesn't pass through the origin. Now the term shear stress here refers to the ratio of the applied force per unit area, and it's given by this general formula here. So what we say here is the force over the area is equal to tau xy. So what this implies is that tau represents shear stress and the xy means in the x to the y axis. Now we can relate this in terms of physical properties. We can have the viscosity, the density, and we can have the differential equation in the y-axis as a function of density and volume. So we can group this as what's called momentum of the fluid, and that's the momentum of the fluid in the x direction per unit volume. And this can illustrate tau, because tau is the momentum flux in the y direction. So you can see the interchangeable relationship between the force over area to the shear stress. Now the key distinctive feature between Newtonian and non-Newtonian fluids is the change in what we call the apparent viscosity. And this is as a result of changes to the shear stress as well as to the shear rate. So if we were to actually plot this on an XY graph, what we would see here is two curves as follows. So we have shear rate, so that's how fast the shear occurs, and the shear stress is the magnitude or the force per unit area that is being exerted on the fluid. Now here, when we have a linear relationship that goes through the origin, what we have is a Newtonian fluid, because this line represents the viscosity. And the way that we can identify that this is a Newtonian fluid is that the gradient at any given point in the system is exactly the same. So there is no change in the apparent viscosity when we vary the shear rate against the shear stress. If we look at non-Newtonian behaviour, and this is just one example, we'll see all the different examples in just a second. But if we look at the gradient at this point compared to the gradient, say, at this point, then we have completely different values. So what that tells us is that the viscosity changes as we increase or decrease the shear rate and the shear stress. So what this suggests is that the apparent viscosity will change as a function of these two variables. So we have what's known as non-Newtonian fluids. Now we have a wide range or classification of non-Newtonian fluids. So the first one that we have is called shear dependent or time dependent fluids. And this is when the apparent viscosity is a function of the shear rate. And examples of this would be things called shear thinning or pseudoplastic fluids, viscoplastic fluids, or shear thickening, also known as diluent. So what this tells us is that the apparent viscosity is going to change with the duration of the shear rate that is being applied. Now we also have time-dependent fluids, which is a function of the duration of the shear at a particular rate. These are known as thixotropic or rheotropic or negative thixotropic behaviour. So either of these are basically the opposite of each other. And then what we can have is viscoelastic fluids. And these are substances that exhibit the characteristics of both an ideal fluid and an elastic solid, showing partial elastic recovery and deformation. So we got into a whole lot of detail in our fluid dynamics and mechanics course. So if you want to know all the details of all these different fluids and the equations that govern them, then I'll put a link in the description to that and you can check that one out. But let's look at this in slightly more detail so that you get an idea and some context as to what all these fluids actually look like. So if we consider the time-independent non-Newtonian fluids, then using the same XY plot, we can represent these on a standard Cartesian set of coordinates. So what we have here is shear rate on the x-axis, shear stress on the y. Now you can clearly see we have the Newtonian fluid here. It's a straight line through the origin. Now your dialent and pseudoplastic fluids, they both begin at the origin. However, as time progresses, as the shear rate progresses, we can see that we have positives and negative changes in the viscosities. So one will get thicker and the other one will get thinner. And we measure this dependent on the gradient. So as the gradient changes, the viscosity changes. Now we have these fluids here, which this one is very, very common. We have what's called a Bingham plastic fluid. And this gives you a straight line. So we have this behaviour in that it's constant. But what we have here is we don't start at the origin. What this tells us is this is we basically need to get to a certain amount of shear stress before we will have any change in the viscosity with regards to the shear rate. So what that tells us is we have a yield stress between here that must be met in order for these fluids to start to change. These ones will change right away. We don't need any shear stress for these to begin. But we have a minimum shear stress in order for these fluids to actually start to change their apparent viscosity. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, due to these changes in the apparent viscosity, we can then consider the flow behaviour, because ultimately when we talk about fluids in fluid dynamics, we want to know and predict the behaviour of these fluids. Now the equations, or the general equations that govern shear stress and shear rate, are given by these functions here. So we have the shear stress as a function of shear rate, and we have the shear rate as a function of shear stress. It has to be, based on the charge. Now there are several different methods that have been developed in order to describe and predict this non-Newtonian fluid behaviour. And these are all based on fundamental relationships. The first one being the power law method. So the power law model essentially gives us these two parameters, and these are model fitting parameters M and N. Now we can relate this to the apparent viscosity, because this is the relationship between shear stress and shear rate. But if we want this in terms of apparent viscosity, we have to do the y over the x-axis, like a gradient, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what we can then say is that the viscosity is equal to this power law here, n minus 1. And we'll see an example of this and how you actually apply it. It's very, very straightforward. Now we have the Carroll model, which is slightly more involved, but the general principle is exactly the same. The only difference this time is we have to take into consideration the initial viscosity, so that is our u0, the viscosity at our given point within the system, and our infinite viscosity. So that is, once we reach a certain threshold, the apparent viscosity will not change. So that's this value here. And then it's the same scenario, it's just different configurations. Now these are empirical formulas that have been derived experimentally. So you would never be asked to actually derive these things. We also have the Chorus model, which is very, very similar layout here, in that we take the ratio, the difference between the infinite and the initial viscosities, but this time we just introduce a new parameter of K. And again, these are model fitting parameters. Now let's take a look at an example here, and we want to determine the viscosity of ammonium alginate at 297 degrees Kelvin under a shear rate of 100 s to the minus 1. So we're just going to use the power law model that we've seen previously, and what we will need to begin with is the published data on ammonium alginate for the fluid at this given operating condition. And there is a lot of different reference texts out there. We do have some of the reference texts in our online resource library that you can get free of charge. So again, I'll put a link in the description to that, and you can check that one out as well. But what we have here is from the data, we have a fluid consistency factor of 13 Pascal seconds to the power n. And this is where you have to be careful, because where we had n minus 1, this is where we take this into account. And the fluid behaviour index is 0.5, i.e. n. So all we now have to do from this point is we substitute in the values that we have. This is our m, our fluid consistency factor. It's a model fitting parameter specific to this particular fluid, and the corresponding fluid behaviour index of 0.5. So we just simply substitute in all the values, and we get a apparent viscosity of 1300 Pascal seconds. And that's as simple as it gets for using the power law model. Now for us as engineers, we're always going to relate this back to the flow in pipes. So we'll take a look at non-Newtonian flow in pipes, just so that you get a well-rounded idea as to how you need to solve this going forward. Now, these types of fluids are more commonly modelled using a laminar flow system, whereas Newtonian fluids can be modelled for laminar and turbulent systems, and it's basically down to this resistance to flow. Because the apparent viscosity changes, then the resistance to flow can increase or decrease significantly. But what we tend to say here is that our laminar flow system best represents non-Newtonian fluids. Now, the typical schematic or model that we use for fluid flow in pipes is we use this schematic here. So this is basically just a cross-section of a pipe, and we perform our nomenclature. So for example here we have capital R as the radius of the pipe, small case r is the radius of our fluid differential that we're going to look at, and we have our pressures coming in, we have our length, and whatever way the fluid flows, i.e. in this direction, then what we have is the shear stress operates in the opposite direction, because remember, it is a resistance to flow, so it's always in the opposite direction. And you can always tell as well based on the subscript nomenclature, R and Z this time rather than X and Y. Now if we look at a cross-sectional model of viscosity and shear rate stress distributions, then this should give us a clear indication as what is actually going on. So if we consider this part first, this is what's known as the velocity distribution chart. And what this tells us is that at the center point, now this is for laminar flow, at the center point of the pipe, we have the maximum fluid velocity because we have the least amount of resistance. Because what we have here is the closer we get to the wall of the pipe, we increase the resistance to fluid flow. And what we actually have here is right at the very tip between the fluid and the pipe wall, we have this thing called a no-slip velocity. And what that actually means is that the very first layer of fluid that touches the wall, we can actually assume that it's zero. Its velocity is zero. So that's the non-slip velocity value. And what we can see is the reciprocal in the shear stress distribution, that at maximum velocity, we have the minimum shear stress, i.e. the minimum resistance. So right at this point, the stress is almost zero. In fact, it pretty much is zero. Whereas at this point on the walls of the pipe, we can clearly see that this is the maximum stress exerted on the fluid. So that's how you would annotate and read these kind of charts. And we can use this idea, the nomenclature from the schematic before, to create this correlation here. And this is the velocity of a non-Newtonian fluid based on this particular nomenclature. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of deriving these equations. If you would like to see these equations derived, let me know in the comments below, and we might look at making a video on how to actually derive these kind of equations. But that's the one for non-Newtonian fluids. And if we look at the one for Newtonian fluids, then the system becomes a lot more simplified because we don't need to take into account this change in the viscosity as we increase the shear stress. So in both cases, that is the equations that you would use in order to determine the fluid velocity within a flow in the pipe. Again, if you want to see how these equations are derived, let me know in the comments and we'll look at making a subsequent video on that for you. Now, very quickly, I'll talk about the advanced models because oftentimes in video tutorials, they only consider the simplified versions. But it's always a good idea for you to look and be familiar with advanced models. So that's why I'm giving you some extra value here in looking at advanced models for non-Newtonian fluid modelling. Now, there are problems that are involved with very lengthy solutions here, and these rely on the use of advanced mathematical modelling of proofs. So this goes very, very deep into advanced mathematics. But the general equation that we can see here, I'll show it up in just a second, we can solve systems that involve Bingham plastics, pseudoplastics, and the Herschel-Berkeley and shear dependent fluids. So this is us getting a bit more advanced here. And the equation that we use is for volumetric flow, we can have it as a relationship between the nomenclature of the pipe. So we have the radiuses of the pipe, we have the pi r v, so that's our velocity, as a function of the radius of the chunk of the fluid. So how we had in this case, we had the fluid in the pipe, and we had this small chunk in the middle. That's where the lowercase r's come from. So we model it as a differential equation as a function of the section that we take. So again, if you want to see mathematical proofs on that, let me know, and we'll look at adding that in to future videos. So now it's time for you to enter our February competition, whereby you can now win £1,000 every month for an entire year, so £12,000 for the year. And all you have to do to enter is answer the following question correctly. What change occurs to the shear thinning fluids with an increase in the shear rate? So in order to enter, all you have to do is answer that question correctly, comment your answer in the comment section below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and that you're also subscribed to our Facebook page, because that's where we will announce the winner on the 5th of March. So that's the end of this lesson. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful in understanding the concept and idea of non-Newtonian fluid behaviour. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach as many chemical engineering students as possible. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you in another video.